You're listening to The Featured Voice, a podcast summer series on the Audio Flow with Jacques.
Hi everyone, welcome to week 11 of The Featured Voice. I'm your host Jacques, and as usual, I am so excited to be here with you guys today to present to you and introduce to some of you a new voice that you may or may not know of. I've had a chance to, I met this person because I was assisting a friend of mine with finding a narrator for an upcoming book that she was releasing. And I went through ACX and started kind of listening to some voices that I thought would be a good fit for the character and came across this person's profile. And so she was added to my short list of people that I wanted to reach out to. Then after that, I kind of networked with another author who was interested in finding someone for their project, and I mentioned her name and realized that we weren't friends on Facebook. And so that's where the journey started for me, of going to her Facebook page and crossing my fingers, hoping that she would accept me as a friend. And she did. And ever since then, we've been chatting it up. I love her personality. I love her energy. I love her talent. She's very talented. And so this week, I am so excited and happy to introduce to you guys Melissa Moran. Hi, Melissa. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm awesome. I'm super excited to be on with you because I've listened to your podcasts and I love your conversations with some of the narrators that you've been on with. And I'm like, ooh, I wish I could do that.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to have you on the show. I know that it was really interesting trying to select who I wanted to be on the Featured Voice, and I don't know if I really told you how I found you, but I feel like this is just as good a time as any. I was assisting an author with kind of a short list of narrators that we were kind of looking for her upcoming project. And so I was just scouring around on ACX and kind of putting in the filters of what voices I was looking for and all those type of things. And so I came across your demo, and you were like at the top of my list. And I'm not sure if the author reached out to you or not, but you were at the top of my list. And so now when other authors ask me about similar voices that they're looking for, your name is one of the ones I usually throw out there because it was very memorable to me. And so I had to reach out to you and find you because someone said, do you know Melissa? And I was like, not really, but I'm going to find her on Facebook and see if she'll friend me. And then the rest is history. You said yes. And so all was well with my world.
Yes. So I suppose the kind of voice they were looking for was described as old crotchety woman.
Oh gosh, no, please. That would be me right now. I'm kind of old and crotchety right now, but it wasn't anything like that. I mean, I think they were looking for somebody who could kind of be a strong female, but also able to do that male character, since it wasn't a dual POV, but the guy had some scenes in there as well. So and he had a great voice for both. So that's why we had you on the list, and so I'll be continuing to spread your name around because I think your demos were really good.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Well, you're very welcome. Yeah. So Melissa, tell us what's going on in your world. And for those who don't know, again, this is the Featured Voice, and we are in week 11. And so Melissa is helping us almost in the complete series for the Featured Voice, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'm excited that she's on here, and we just want to know, what you've been working on, and of course we want to know how you actually got into narration work and voiceover, and what your background started as. I know that was a lot of questions, so feel free to pick and choose which one you want to start with.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations on a very successful first run of the Featured Voice.
Thank you.
That is huge. Okay. So second, I don't know what to tackle first. So, okay. It's been a very, very major week for me. So for the past 19 years, and I know I'm like totally aging myself here, but here comes old crotchety woman. I started young. No, I started in radio 19 years ago. I started out as an intern at a radio station in Providence, Rhode Island, and I've been doing that ever since. And so just today, in fact, this is a milestone day for me. So I see it as kind of fitting that I'm talking to you today. I officially quit my radio job.
Oh, wow.
Yes, today was my last day on the air, and it was such a surreal experience because that has been my life for like most of my life. So, yeah, craziness.
Wow. Well, how do you feel about that? I mean, is there something special you do, when now, were you a radio talent or were you reporting the news? What kind of station was it?
Yeah, it was a country station here in the Central Florida area, and I was on the morning show. So yeah, I'm a morning show personality, and I was one half of a morning team there. And yeah, that means waking up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, which I will not miss.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
guess.
God.
But are there any parts of it that you think you will miss, or what was kind of your, emotional feelings about even that part of you behind that history?
Yeah. Well, at this particular place, I've been working for just almost 10 years. I've been working there 9 years. And so you just develop relationships with people that you work with and even listeners who have gone through with you some major events in your life. I mean, hospitalizations, wedding, birth, deaths, they're with you through all of that. So I guess I'm going to miss that social interaction the most. And the side things like meeting the musicians every now and then, that was really cool, but it's really the day-to-day stuff. Yeah.
So was that your segue into becoming a narrator and doing audiobooks? Is that how you kind of got your start?
Yeah. What happened was a colleague of mine who used to work at that radio station had just gotten into audiobooks, and he called me one day, and he had kind of an agenda with it because he said, look, Melissa, I know you love theater and you love being on the mic, obviously, doing the morning show. Have you ever considered audiobooks? And so his pitch to me in all of this was, why don't you try doing the audiobooks and I will edit your work?
See how he came with a nice package deal?
He was like slick businessman, but no, I mean, he was looking out for me. I mean, audiobooks were never something I considered, just because it was not in my wheelhouse at the time. And so I thought about it and I'm like, well, maybe I'll give this a shot because all of the above was true. I mean, I love acting and I love being on the mic, so it kind of just made sense. And so I gave it a shot, and here I am. I never had him edit any of my work.
That's funny.
that didn't end up working out for him, but he's still doing his thing. So he's had a pretty successful run too.
Oh my gosh. So you have a theater background. Was that your major in school, or did you just enjoy performing and being on stage?
Yeah, I didn't go to school for that. I really have a weird background in that I went to college for film animation. I actually wanted to be a cartoonist.
Really?
And yeah, I went to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. And once I got into the doing part of it, like, okay, now I'm doing the animation, I just found it to be so tedious. Like, all the power to animators because it is really time consuming. I mean, this is all duh. I mean, so is what we do, but
right.
I guess like it just, for certain things fit certain people. And I just found that to be not my niche.
Yeah. So. It just would seem like that would be the other side of being in a box by yourself, except you're like creating these characters and having them be animated, and you're not really, I guess, interacting with other people. Is it more like that where you're just kind of working by yourself?
I guess, it's so funny how, yeah, that's absolutely true. I don't know why I've been choosing these mediums where I've chosen to like isolate myself. Well, I think the radio is the balance to that. But yeah, that's an interesting thought. And to create on paper or on computer characters as opposed to now creating characters in audiobooks, it's sort of along the same lines, just different creative venues,
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
how many books in your library do you have so far for narrating?
For books I've narrated myself, probably about 76
And,
so
and
far.
how many years have you been at this, Melissa?
I want to say just under 4 years or 3 years. I think my first one came out in January 2014, so whatever that ends up being.
Okay, a little over 3 years.
Okay,
3
we'll
years
go
is
with
a
you.
change. Yeah, let's go
I'm
with
no mathematician, Jock, but
that. Well, I'm not either, but I know 4 plus 3 equals 17. So yeah, I just
okay,
kind of go.
stop showing off.
Don't ask me to do any fractions or decimals or anything because I'm just gonna fail that. So we
Okay,
just keep it simplified here.
we're a great team.
Yeah, 3.5 years. So that's amazing. So now you're not doing the radio thing anymore. So does this mean you are moving into voiceover work and narrating books full time?
Yes, and it's so scary.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you. It's yeah, like I said, it's frightening, but also uh, the amount of free. I guess it really hasn't sunk in quite yet because tomorrow will be my first official day full
Hmm.
time. But I the amazing thing with narrators in particular, and you probably find the same thing because you talk to us all the time, and we love that.
Oh,
Is that
thanks.
there's so much support
Hmm.
in this industry. It's amazing. Like on some level, we're competing with each other. Like,
Hmm.
when you're talking about, if you know a particular person who's really good at romances and you have similar voices, okay, like on the same level, you're competing.
Yeah,
But, in the same sense, you're also each other's cheerleader. Like one person cannot do all the books.
right. Well, I don't think
So
they can.
they can sure try. I mean, a lot of the popular narrators, I'm like, where do you find the time to do all these? That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But man, they got it, and that's the goal. I would love to be one of those go-tos for authors. So yeah.
Well, we need to make that happen. And, based on what you said, I sensed that when I went to the APAC this year, the community that everyone had with each other, and it was just very supportive. Even at the audio awards, everybody was just so excited for everyone who was nominated, for people who won, and it was really nice to see that support within that. So you guys are
Hmm.
definitely, it's the same, it's similar in the indie book world. And just seeing both sides of that, of how supportive everyone is. And I'm going to support because, of course, Melissa says she wants to be the narrator for all the romance books. Call Melissa, and she is now full time, so she is able to take on all your projects and sit in her booth 24/7. Well, not well,
Well,
maybe.
look, let's not go crazy.
Okay, 23/6 then. No.
I can I can commit to that. Okay. But my husband and my 5-year-old might have a problem, but
they
whatever, they'll work it
they
out.
might, maybe they'll just like knock on the door and be like, "Can we come in? We think you need to come out. You're looking a little pale there. You might be sweating a little bit. It might be time for you to actually use the bathroom, And
Yeah.
so I always like to know about people's studio and where they're performing their work. So do you have an at-home studio, or are you off-site?
Yes, I do have. Oh, is that a train going by?
There's always a plane or a train or an automobile or something, or a dog barking. So, just go with it.
I'm going. I'm going. Um, yeah, I'm actually straddling two things right now. So I have a home studio and I'm in the process of having one built, and it's just been such a long process
Yeah.
because the guy that's building it has another job, and so he can get to it only when he can. And so right now I have this monstrosity sitting in one of my bedrooms and it's just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm a booth, but not yet. I can be functional, but not
Not
quite.
really. So is it like a big box? It's just a big box?
Essentially, I mean, it's nothing fancy. It amazes me when I see pictures of people's recording environments, and it can be anything from like PVC pipes hooked together and curtains strung around it to what my soon to be previous operation is of a small closet in my bedroom. It's here's a word of advice for upcoming narrators. Never have your studio where your spouse or significant other sleeps, or even your dog, because if I choose to record late at nights, which is often, like 9 times out of 10, I will start hearing and and that's a buzzkill when it comes to sex scenes. So
Yes, that would seem would really take you out of character, just hearing them
yeah.
snore, because it's like, are they snoring because I'm boring, or
I'm here to help.
I'm taking that
Yeah.
advice, especially because doing the podcast, I have 3 dogs, but they sleep all day. So I'm always trying to find a spot where they're not, but then they come and follow me, and then we have hardwood floors, and so I just hear their feet just tapping across the floor. And then I have one that just snores like she's like an 80-year-old man, and then the little one likes to bark, and yeah, so I might need to find me a little closet and put
Yeah.
some curtains in there and go for it.
Even then, I'm telling you, it's the strangest thing. Well, when you have a microphone on you, you pick up the weirdest things. Like,
Yeah.
even because I stupidly have a water dish for my dog next to my closet, and I
Uh-huh.
can hear him like tap, tap, tap up to the water dish and go, which actually might work for sex scenes, but
They'll be like, "Oh man, you outed sound effects." Yeah, sure. That was just my dog lapping up water, but
yeah.
nobody needs to know that. So
Yeah, the main character is a little sloppy, but we don't have to talk about that. Like, in your mind, he's totally a god. But
I
yeah, so
love it.
hopefully I'll be moving to, like, from that to the fancy booth, which is going to be finished, I don't know, maybe in the year 2025.
Well, that's not too far. I mean, like literally, we're almost in 2020, it just sounds weird saying that, you know.
That's true. I think we might have a man on Mars by the time I get my booth ready, but we'll see. I'm knocking on wood.
It may happen a lot sooner than that, Melissa. You just don't know. That box you have in your bedroom is gonna find its space, and you're gonna get it done. I have faith in you. By next year.
Thank you so much. I'm going to quote you on that.
Okay, yeah. And then play this episode back when it's done and say she saw it, she called it, that I was gonna have it done. I didn't say January of next year, I just said next year. So
I keep it vague. I think that's best.
So Melissa, you mentioned a little bit about kind of remembering your first audiobook. I'd love to know what it was and how you think you've changed or evolved since then.
Oh yeah, my first audiobook, and God bless this woman for giving me a chance. A lot of narrators, when they're first starting out, they'll do like a short audiobook, and by short I mean like 3 hours, something like that. But I went for a 7-hour book because I figured if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And
Exactly.
yeah, and D.B. Burkham is kind of like a mystery, well, more like a thriller type badass chick takes on the bad guys kind of author. And she gave me her shot with the Kate Jones series.
Mm-hmm.
And I had so much fun with it. It was frustrating because I wasn't technically where I needed to be, so editing was a nightmare, and it probably took me way, way longer than it should to get that out there. But from that point, I think I've grown tremendously in that you never want to listen to earlier audiobooks, and I'm sure you've heard this from other people.
Yes.
It's just embarrassing. It's like seeing a picture of yourself from when you were like 25 pounds heavier, and you just want to forget that ever happened.
Yes, I know those pictures well.
Yeah, well, we work through it, and hopefully we're at, maybe 20 pounds heavy in the most recent picture. We do what we can. But yeah, so I think in previous attempts, I don't take pauses. I'm very quick. I'm a quick reader, but that doesn't translate to the listener. And overall, I think I could have been a lot better. And that's where the coaching and the training comes in, and you got to do it to get better.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that like you said, most people said that they don't really like to go back and listen. I may have spoken to one person who said they actually went back and listened to a couple, their previous works, and was like, I could have done that better. I could have done that differently.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, but it's just like these podcasts. I don't go back and listen to them, even after they go through editing. But I know that they've gotten better since I started. So maybe I should go back and listen to them. But then I'd probably cringe like you guys do if you go back and say, I should have drank some water there. Why did I smack my lips at that point? And, and it's like, you can only get better. And so maybe it's not a bad thing to go back and listen. So you should go back and listen to all your early books.
Oh, yes. I have so much time now. Yeah. I don't know. I almost feel like if I did, I would be so afraid of picking up bad habits again, because I know that I'm a very active listener when it comes to audiobooks. And I tend to, when I listen to other people's books, which I listen to quite often, I will pick up happily whatever they're doing. That's kind of their thing. And I then almost subconsciously translate that into what I'm doing in my book. So I make sure I listen to really, really great narrators. So I'm like, ooh, hopefully I can pick up some of what they're doing.
Well, that's a good type of resource. So speaking of that, are there any books that you like to listen to during your leisure time? I know that, generally it's odd when I speak to narrators. I want to know, do you guys listen to audiobooks? And if you do, what's kind of your genre you like to go to?
Yeah, definitely. It seems like I have two genres that I personally tend to pick up myself as a narrator, and that's number one, romance. Second, I've been doing a lot of YA fantasy lately, which is really, really cool, and I have a lot of fun with that. So I tend to adjust my listening habits to that, so I can kind of stay in that groove. So I do listen to a lot of romances, contemporary romance. I just listened to like a romantic comedy type book. But I think for fun, I tend to listen to a lot of autobiographies or memoirs by comics. I love listening to comedian audiobooks.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You're the first person to say that. A lot of people mention they like nonfiction or sci-fi, things like that, but you like autobiographies and comedians. So do you find are you funny?
I don't know. Am I? I don't know. People have told me I'm funny. That I was sort of that was my role on the morning show. I was sort of the funny comic relief of the show. So yeah, I try to be. I was in an improv troupe for a while in Atlanta.
Oh, that's so cool. So would that be similar to like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, exactly like that. Like you're up on stage and you play these games. Very similar to Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Well,
It's exactly that.
you have to be a comedian because it's all about timing and being quick on your feet. So I think you're a total comedian, and if you ever stop doing narrating books, then you should just be a stand-up. You can come
Oh,
on
I
my
don't know
show
about
first.
that. You'll be the first one I call. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a whole other lifestyle right there.
I
But
bet, I bet. And now I wish that I could listen to your show so I could hear you in the
oh,
morning. And I'm bummed that I didn't know this before today was your last day. So,
oh, it's all good. Don't worry about that. Yeah. You
you
know
know,
what I love though about improv comedy is so amazing to me because like the really, really good improv comics always have acting as their base. Like they're always actors first, and then it's almost like the comedy is secondary because you need that ground in reality to make
mhm,
something funny. Because we
mhm,
all, I think the best kind of comedy is stuff that's relatable and speaks to
right,
us. And you
right.
can't have that without the acting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And actually, I'm glad that you brought that up because um Whose Line Is It Anyway? I love that show. So if we
Yeah.
ever meet in person, I think next year at the APAC, we need to do like an improv. They should put that in as a workshop to kind of as an icebreaker. I'm gonna write them and tell them to
Ooh,
put that in. I think that would be
that's a
fun.
great idea. And I think if narrators have not explored improv, and that's the thing, like improv doesn't necessarily mean comedy either. It
Mm-hmm.
can also be dramatic,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a good exercise in acting in general, and that'll help out with scenes that you may have some difficulty with because if you approach a scene like obviously you've pre-read the book, but if
Mm-hmm.
you approach it with the same spontaneity as you would improv, there's a certain realness that comes through that wouldn't otherwise, I think. I'm probably talking out of my butt.
No, I mean it makes sense. And so along those lines, what kind of things do you do to prepare yourself for, I guess if you were doing something that was, more emotional, how do you get yourself focused in that headspace where you can tap into the emotions of that character?
Um, you just have to be in that manuscript. Like you have to be in the trenches of that manuscript. I mean, I guess that's the only way I can describe it. I recently did this book called Maybe I Do, and it's by Nicole McLaughlin, and she's an excellent writer. She wrote this scene where someone was killed in a very tragic way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and there's crying involved, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to make sure that you're so focused on the words and the character and internalize that. And you just have to be in the right headspace to where you're not thinking about anything else. Like if I'm thinking about, did I pack my kids lunch
Wrong
today?
headspace.
Yeah, that's not where you need to be. You gotta be in the trenches with that, and that's where the true emotion comes out. And I've surprised and I think a lot of people will say this. You almost surprise yourself when you're in that moment to where you know the part is coming up. You're leading
Mm-hmm.
into it. You've read it. You know it's there, and you're like, okay, well, what I'm doing my thing. So then you get there and you're focused, and all of a sudden you personally are crying,
Yeah.
and it's hard because you almost want to stop because audio wise you're like, oh god, they're probably hearing sniffling and like, you know.
Right.
um, but you have to be very careful because that stuff is raw and that's good.
Yeah.
um,
I
but
like that.
yeah.
I like those raw emotions. I think I can't remember who else I spoke to about that same thing, and they were mentioning on that similar level that they were just in this place, and they asked the engineer, "Do you think I should do that part over?" I mean, because they were so captivated by really being in that moment, and they said no. And I think that's what makes great books is when you can portray that and put those emotions in where you're acting, but you're not acting, kind of your emotions take over, and we can hear that. And then as listeners, like, we're there with you. So now we're probably snotting and crying too, because we heard you snotting and crying. And again, that's what makes for not just good audiobooks, but great audiobooks. And even when it's humor and something is funny and it says such and such laughed, well, when you actually laugh with saying the words, then I laugh because I think it's funny that we felt you laugh and we heard it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I like. And so I need to get that book so I got the spoiler, everybody, so I know what happens, but we edited out so you wouldn't know, but but I gotta get it now because it's so funny. I did not like last year, I didn't like books that really made me cry or that made me emotional. And I've just learned recently that sometimes those are good just to kind of help you rebalance or deal with maybe some things that you haven't really brought to surface. And just being able to listen to somebody perform that and help you get those emotions out is important. So I get one ugly cry book a year, and so
just one.
Just one. I don't think I can graduate to 2 yet. So one, just one or one and a half.
I tend to be the same way, actually. I don't like, as a listener, I don't like too dramatic of books. I like stuff with a little humor, but I think I like a mixed bag, sort of. Like if you're laughing and crying in the same book, oh, damn, that's a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good mix of emotion. And so you're just not weeping through the whole book, and you're not just laughing hysterically where you forget what the book is about. So yeah, that's a good happy medium.
I'm not picking up a book that's titled My Dog is Dying anytime soon.
Oh gosh. You do know that there's like a book movie about the purpose of a dog or the dog's life?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was like, who in their right mind is going to go watch that movie? I just can't. It's funny. Do you have any pets, Melissa?
I do. Yes, I have a really dumb dog named Tyler, but he's the sweetest. He's the sweetest dumb dog in the world.
Oh, that's so mean. You called him dumb. He's smart enough to know that there's a water dish by the closet, and he attempts not to snore while you're recording. So
attempts, but it doesn't work. Yeah,
I know. But so, like, did you see Marley and Me?
You know what? I didn't.
Okay, don't watch it.
Yeah. No, I want because it's one of those movies that I know I'm just gonna be okay. Like I'll cry at the stupidest things, even if it's an animated character, like King Kong, for instance. Okay, everyone knows what happens in King Kong. There are no spoilers here. But when they killed King Kong, like I was watching the Peter Jackson directed version, I'm weeping like a baby. That King Kong is fake. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's not real.
I'm not laughing because I watched Planet of the Apes, the first new one with Caesar, and I cried when they put him in in the zoo or wherever they took him, where all the I guess he was in the zoo, and I cried and I was like, oh. And then the other animals was like beating up on him and making fun of him because he had a little sweater and stuff, and I felt so bad for him. So I'm sitting there crying about this movie about this chimp. It's not real. He doesn't really talk. I mean, but it's just something I think when you have this love for animals, you kind of can transfer those feelings. And so yeah, when I saw Marley and Me, I told people I would never watch that movie again. I saw it one time, and it was hard to watch because I had just recently had to put my dog down, and it was a lot of stuff in that movie that was hard. So the one about the purpose of a dog or the dog's purpose or whatever, and he
Yeah.
keeps coming back, and no, I'll pass on that one. So again, that will never make the ugly cry book of the year because it deals with animals. I can't do
Okay.
it.
No, I completely agree. I will cry over an animal over like a movie about a human. I know that sounds awful, but I don't know, maybe because just animals are helpless, you know.
Yeah, they can't talk. They can't speak. Well, Caesar did sort of, but that's totally different. But yeah, I totally get you. So so what do you do when you're not working? I know. So now you're going to be full time narrating. And so
Mhm.
what do you do? Like, what's your leisure thing to kind of give you your work life balance where you just say, this is what I do not to think and how I relax?
Um, Gosh, that notion is so foreign to me right now because I've
Oh,
I've literally been working straight for about 1 to 2 years. I mean, getting about 4 hours of sleep a night. Um, so moving into the full-time world, I can confidently say I'd have a better answer for you if you were
okay.
to talk to me 3 weeks from now. However, I just enjoy chilling on like a Friday night, watching a movie with the husband on the
Hmm.
couch. Um, that's how I find my relaxation time with a glass of wine.
Oh yeah.
Um, yes, and we like we like horror movies.
Really?
First, yeah, I don't know what it is, but like, ooh, did we get a horror movie? I don't know why. Does that make me sick? I don't know.
I don't think so. My mom was she was watching TV the other day and I can't even remember the name of the movie, but she was like, "Oh, we need to see this." And I was like, "No, we don't. I'm totally fine." And I was like, "Please don't bring that movie to the house." "Oh, don't be so scared, Mom. You know how I feel about creepy movies. I just can't. I can't do it." And I said, "You can go to the movies." And she's like, "Well, this is old. It's on DVD now." So, fingers
Well,
crossed
that
she
doesn't
won't.
make it any better.
I mean, yeah, I'm like, I don't want to see it. I can't. If she put that movie on, you guys, I'll do a podcast about me outside of my car driving around or something until that movie goes off. I'm a big scaredy cat. It's actually sad, but you had me at wine. You like to sit around and
Yes.
have wine. So, are you a red, white, dessert, sparkly wine person? Which one?
Ooh, when it comes to, I can appreciate red and white. When it comes to white wine, it's of the sweeter variety, like Riesling or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. For red wine, it's definitely Pinot Noir because
Say
I'm
that again.
fancy. What was
Say it.
that?
Say Pinot Noir again.
Oh, Pinot Noir. That's my French. Do you like it? I'm working on
I like it. I think you totally scored that. Next
it.
French roll goes to Melissa. She's got it. She's nailed it down.
Oui, oui.
That's the extent of my French too. We, and no. You can't mess up no. It's the same in every language.
That's true. No.
Almost, I think. So speaking of accents, do you find that you have one that you prefer or one that you think you kind of nail that if if you weren't American, you could go over to this other country and kind of really just be embrace that nationality and that culture?
Here's a fun fact. My
Okay.
husband is actually from Russia.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he is from Siberia, which is, uh, you could probably take a day trip to Mongolia. That's how close it is to that area. Um, but yeah, I've actually been over to Russia several times. I think this past trip was my fifth time. So I've done a couple of Russian accent books, and
Mhm.
they're super fun.
Mhm.
Um, so probably that. And I had the opportunity recently to help a good friend out with his book that had a lot of Russian names and words in it. And my husband sent him like a voice memo with some of
Mhm.
the pronunciation. So that was kind of cool that we have that going on.
It's so interesting that there are more books now. It seems that have characters that are either Russian or German. And
Mm.
so, do you find that do you get a lot of books that either have accents from with people from those places, or do you find that you know, especially in YA, I don't know if they really are from different countries and things like that, or do you make up their accents?
You can, especially in like a YA fantasy, you have total freedom typically over characters if they're not specified by any particular accent or dialect. You can have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also the author's choice as well. You want to communicate that with them to see if they're comfortable with your the direction you're going in, or unless they have an idea in their head about what they want you to do. But I haven't had a lot of Russian recently that I've come across. I have a book I'm doing now where the main character's best friend is French for no reason. She was just a French exchange student, and she's the best friend. She just happens to be French, and hilariously enough, French is probably my least. Okay, let's put it this way. I have trouble doing French accents. I struggle with that one, no matter how hard I try.
So what do you do about that? Are you one of those people who go on YouTube too and just watch it and binge a bunch of videos with French accents?
Yeah, that's one option. I've done that. And also there are some great dialect coaches out there that you can train with. With this book in particular, it was sort of a rush thing. It was a very tight deadline. So I didn't have the opportunity to do training. So you just kind of have to rely on your ear and watch a lot of videos and kind of practice to yourself. I think my husband's been enjoying my French practice. Because he's like,
yeah, I bet.
Say more of that. Wear a costume while you're at
it. I'm not going to touch that one, Melissa. I know I could just walk right into a joke with that, but I'm not. French maid and stuff, you know. But and they call you Yvette. And I don't know why I thought of that. Have you ever seen the movie Clue?
Yes, of course, yes.
Remember the maid in Clue?
That would actually be a good study. She's a little bit of a caricature, but I like it.
And she has a pretty decent accent, so you put that on your list and you'll do just fine. It's so funny. I took French for 8 years, and all I can tell you is oui and hello and yeah. And I could say I studied French, and that's pretty much it.
But you'd be like, yeah, you studied French, but you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, j'ai étudié le français, and that's it. And they'd be like, oh, really? And then they start speaking, and I'm like, no. And then there's my no. That's it, I'm done. Where's the bathroom? And water. And that's it. So.
I studied it in high school as well, and I think the only phrase that I remember is je nage au fromage, which is I swim in cheese.
I know.
Because you really need that in your typical French life.
And you notice the funny thing in French, we had to learn how to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag in French. I don't think that made any sense.
Why would you need to know?
And I still remember it. And it's so funny. Every time I have to do the pledge, the French version is the one that comes in my head.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's very interesting. So yeah, gotta love that. So, okay, I want to go back to your booth because this has been a topic that I've discussed with everybody about the booth. And so your booth right now is kind of your closet until the big box gets its home and it's done. So yours is a little bit different. You're not that closed off. If you've got a curtain, you're not using the door, right?
No, it is. I am closing myself into the closet.
Is it hot in there?
Yes.
You gotta. So really, what's your booth attire?
Well, I start out clothed. I cannot say what happens 40 minutes later, but typically, yes, I do end up taking the shirt off, and then we're all adults here.
We're all adults here.
But you know, especially with women, and if they're listening, they know exactly what I'm saying. If you're narrating, and I have a funny story to this too. If you're narrating topless, you got that under boob sweat that happens. It's like a little distracting when you're in the middle of a scene and you feel that like go down your stomach. And, oh man, you've never felt so sexy in your life. So the story behind that is I needed to record something last minute, and so I was trying to get my husband and the kid out of the house because this was like a must do that day, and I needed the house quiet. And so they went out, and I had no idea what time they were going to come back. And so I'm like really involved in a scene, and all of a sudden I hear something, and I'm topless, by the way. I'm starting to hear something, and then all of a sudden my 5-year-old son whips open the door. The look on his face. I can only describe it as, this is the face of a person who's going to need therapy.
You scarred him for life.
Like, fortunately I had my shirt in my lap, and so I just did but it was too late. He had seen it, all of it.
Oh, wow. Ooh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
Not good.
It's like, what does mommy do for a living? She sits in the closet topless with a microphone.
It's a living.
And she makes really good money doing that. Oh, is that so? Okay.
I don't even have to be on stage in front of people. It's not bad.
That's the life, though, working from home, I tell you.
I'm telling you, I will experience that soon enough. It's rather exciting. And while he's in school, I can be naked all I want.
You sure can. You can just be free and fancy free and all that great stuff. And, just keep a towel with you so you can, prevent those drippy sweats from
the underboob.
The underboob sweat. The tears, the boob tears. That's what we're going to call them.
Yes, it's my body crying because it's so hot.
Oh,
well, and my new booth, the reason why it's taking forever and a day is because it should have like some kind of ventilation system in it. So hopefully I'll be more comfortable than before.
Well, that's good because, I've heard these horror stories. I mean, they were not horror stories, but, you guys in that booth and it's hot and, pretty much everybody is recording naked. I get it. You do what you got to do to get the job done and not pass out or anything. And so what do you do to make sure that your voice is staying hydrated and you don't sound, like me, like you just woke up and rolled out the bed. At 3:00 in the afternoon, you still sound like you just woke up. So what's your routine for that?
It'll be interesting to see in the next few weeks how this changes, but I know in my particular case, with me doing the morning show, my voice was pretty much warmed up from blah, blah, blahing all morning. And then I get home and I do my thing. Like my jaw is loose and it's, the words are coming out. As long as I had been drinking water that morning, everything's kind of smooth and good to go. And then while I'm in there, I tend to drink like water with lemon because that seems to help. And just sort of, God, if listeners only knew what went on in that booth, like it helps to sort of massage your jaw every now and then. It keeps things. We're weird folk. You massage your jaw, and so that helps. But I don't know what's going to happen because the new routine is going to be: I wake up, get my kid ready for school, eat breakfast, and like hop in the booth. So I'm going to have to be really, really structured on warming up my voice from this point on. Yeah.
Do you sing?
I have the occasional karaoke. I've been in some musicals like in the past, but I haven't done that in a while.
Ow. So like you won't do any do re mi's or anything like that to get your voice going?
Oh, I do, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm a singer. I could be doing a lot of off-key do-re-mis.
That's okay. Next time we have you on the show, we'll do karaoke wars, and and I'll invite a bunch of people, and we'll just do karaoke, and then we'll get you on and see how you sound.
I love that idea.
See, every now and then I come up with good ideas. So sometimes
You need to write these down.
I should write these down, or I have to listen to the podcast to get to remember what they were.
That's a great idea, though. I love it.
Okay, yeah, I love it too. Well, Melissa, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Featured Voice. It has been fantastic chatting with you. I know we do a little chatting on Facebook, but this is so much better. And plus, I can hear your voice.
Oh, and I love hearing your voice too.
Oh gosh, you don't have to say that. Nobody ever needs to say they like my voice. I don't like it, but thank you. I appreciate it.
I think it's sultry. It has a sultry tone to it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So tell everybody how they can, oh wait, I forgot. Melissa has a book that's coming out shortly, and we do want to do a clip. So Melissa,
yes.
Would you like to tell us what clip we'll be listening to today?
Yes, this is from J.T. Geisinger's new book. I've done 2 in her Wicked Games series. The first one was Wicked Beautiful, then it was Wicked Sexy, and this is going to be Wicked Intentions, and it is so good.
Is it really wicked?
It is so wicked.
All right, good. Well, everybody, here we go, listening to a sample from Melissa's latest release, and it's Wicked Intentions, and here we go.
I hear the splash as he jumps out of the pool. Trying not to smirk, I start a silent countdown in my head. 5, 4, 3, 2... Excuse me, bartender. Can we get another round? I open my eyes to find Golden Boy standing next to me. He's looking at the bartender at the end of the bar, who nods in acknowledgement. Then Golden Boy turns his head and looks at me. Electricity jolts through me when our eyes meet. It's disturbing how strong it is. It's been years since I felt serious attraction to anyone, and muscular blondes aren't my type in the first place. Dark and dangerous is more my thing. Although, admittedly, Golden Boy has the dangerous part down, the look in his eyes is anything but tame. "Hi," he says, staring at me with blazing intensity. Here's the part where I need to figure out his type. Dumb and bubbly, smoldering seductress, girl next door. There's a key that unlocks the door to every man's libido, and once his libido is engaged, his brain takes a nap for the duration. I'm so grateful I'm a woman. We get turned on without completely losing our intellect to our genitals.
All right. And Melissa, and we can expect to have this out fairly soon, hopefully before September, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, what is it? Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's our goal. We hope that we can get it. And everybody, if you want to get on board, you can go and get the previous books in the series as well, because Melissa is narrating those. So you want to get on board with that. And we'll be looking forward to the release of this book in the next few weeks. So make sure you're watching your Audible library. I don't know if it's on pre-order yet, or if it will be on pre-order, but easy search Melissa Moran, Moran, or I never know how to spell the author's last name. It's JT, and it's
Geissinger.
There you go. You guys know who that is, so you just easy search. Just look up Melissa's name. You can't go wrong that way. And Melissa, tell everybody how they can find you or connect with you on social media.
Yes, my website is easy peasy. It's melissamoran.com. 1 L, 2 S's, and then Moran. My Twitter is Melissa Moran VO. Okay. That's Victor O. And you can find me on Facebook by looking up Melissa Moran.
Sounds good, everybody. And again, you can also find her Audible library on audible.com. Just search her name and you can see all the titles she has in there waiting for you to pick up. If you're an author and you're looking for a fresh voice, you've heard her here on the Featured Voice. She's amazing. And if you got a couple people in there who speak Russian, she's all over that. And French, preferably not, because she doesn't really care for French. No, I'm just kidding. But she'll totally do it. She'd totally do it. She'd rock that French. Be sure that you go by and take a listen to her demos or find her on ACX as well. And so, again, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, everybody, for listening and participating and following us here on the Featured Voice. Like I said, this is episode 11, so we've got one more to go to complete this season. Be sure you're following us on Facebook at The Audio Flow, also on Instagram at The Audio Flow, and Twitter, _audio_flow. You can find all of our episodes now streaming on iHeartRadio and TuneIn, and you can download them at iTunes and Google Play. So we're pretty much on every platform. Big shout out to my producer, Danielle, at Firefly Productions. So thank you so much, Danielle, for everything, and to my assistant, Rebecca, for all your help in keeping me straight and in line. And again, Melissa, thank you so much for being here, and you're welcome to come back anytime.
I would love to. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Be sure that you download this episode and join us next week as we complete the series with our chat with Leah Langola. Have a great one. Bye.